Hello, hello, Sestras. Good evening. Here we are for another edition of Workshop Wednesdays. We have a treat in store for you today. We're going to be talking about how to get that book started. So many of us, including myself, have ideas. We've had so many experiences, and you thought, "Hey, I should put a book." I mean, I've been told so many times you should write a book, and I joke. I think I have at least a trilogy in me. But anyway, so today we're going to, before we get started or we go any further, I'm going to turn it over to our co-founder, Stephanie, who's going to give us our welcome and give us some announcements.
Hello. Good evening, Sestras. Hey, welcome to Workshop Wednesdays. Remember, we do this every Wednesday at 7 p.m. This is where we promote one of your businesses, as well as provide an educational component to it. So that's what Session Now is about, promoting your businesses and also educating our community, our membership about different aspects of life, because we're all about lifting each other mentally, physically, and financially. So I just want to remind everyone that as you know, we've been, it's almost 3 years now, working toward developing our own app. Okay, and so we're pretty much at the final phase, and we have like some excellent news in that the Apple Store has actually approved of our app, and we're at the initial stages of what the first phase is, which is a marketplace. So from this point on, what we're going to be doing is building that out. We're going to start with allowing you, as our founding members, those that are part of our private community, to come on board and do a page, a business page offering your product or service, right? However, we're still, again, at the beginning stages. So we're going to announce shortly when it's time for you to do that. It's, again, at the very, very beginning stages. So we're going to need your help in working through any bugs and getting feedback from you on what best serves you as far as our app, or what does not serve you. And so right now it's available for download on the iPhone, but please wait until we make the official announcement, and we'll give you direction and guidance and some place to contact us to give us the feedback. Okay, this is very exciting times. Again, and if you want to have one of these Workshop Wednesdays, you have a business, product, or service that will educate someone and be a resource to women, just reach out to Annette and I and our leadership team at info@sessionnow.com to let us know about it. And so that being said, we're going to turn it over to Jacinda and Annette to talk to us about this exciting topic of writing your own book.
Yes, so I'd like to introduce to you Jacinda Gouveia, who's one of our relatively new sestras, but we're so happy to have her on board. She's actually working with us. We have a book project that we're going together. We can tell you a little bit more, putting together. We can tell you a little bit more about that later on, sometime later, maybe a couple of weeks from now. However, today she's bringing us the topic. She's Jacinda Gouveia. She is an author coach. Basically, that's her official title. And today the topic is edit your habits, delete the noise, write your book. And I'm all here for it. I cannot wait to see. I'm looking for that motivation. I'm looking for that jump start, so that maybe I can be able to share my story, because I think that my personal experience is something that hopefully somebody would be able to gain strength from. If I share my struggles and triumphs and all that. So without further ado, I'm turning it over to you, Jacinda. Thank you.
Awesome. Joyous day, everyone. Joyous evening. I always love to just set the tone with that, because, guys, we are here, joyous, ready to go, and just thanking God for where we're at, right? Thank y'all so much. I want to just thank you, Sestra Sisters, for allowing me to be on this platform. I'm so honored and excited to just share a little bit of knowledge. And of course, this will be one of many, right? I'm at service to, just the whole group, and also, anyone that wants to reach out to me individually. So Thank you, guys. I want to just start off by just giving you guys a little backstory of me. So how I became an author was actually during COVID, when everything shut down. I have always been asking God, I said, Lord, I've been wanting to write a book forever, but it's time, right? Procrastination. We got too much going on, can never sit still and write that book. So then what happened, right? Everything stopped. Like we couldn't go into work, we couldn't go here, there was a lockdown. So I said, you know what, Lord, this may be the time for me to finally sit down and write that book while I'm working from home, homeschooling my kids. Like there was still a lot going on, but I just felt like I needed to utilize this time wisely. And that's what I did while we were just on lockdown. So it took me 8 months, wrote my first book. It's actually called Psalm 91 in COVID-19. So I really paid attention to what was going on worldwide in the community, even in my own home. And I wrote, what based on Psalm 91 and interpreting those scriptures so that it can help encourage others, right? Help people see beyond what was going on because it was so devastating. So they needed that hope, and that book just couldn't come at a better time. So that's how I got into becoming an author. And then the coaching came because people reached out to me and said, how did you write that book? Where did you get started? Because the information is out there. It's you can write a book anytime. It's just so much information that you don't know what's true, what everything that works for someone may not work for you. So you still need a guide. You need someone to kind of hold your hand through the process, and that's going to be upfront, right? And give you the information you need as it pertains to you. So love what I do. I enjoy communicating with people and hearing their stories. I could tell you guys so many stories that has came my way that it's amazing. But I have to hold my peace until their books are published, and then I can help them market. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now is move quickly here and share my screen. Awesome. Let me get into slideshow mode here. There we go. All right, so our Sestra Workshop Wednesday, as Annette mentioned, the topic is edit your habits, delete the noise, write your book. And let me tell you, the first two, edit your habits, delete the noise, a lot of times that's where we're stuck, right? So we're going to go through some questions that you can ask yourself. Like this is going to be like a quiz format. Okay, I'm going to go through each answer briefly, and I want you to think about how it pertains to you. Like, is this where I'm stuck at? All right. So as I mentioned, I'm an author, I'm a coach, but what I didn't mention, I'm a mother of two. I have a 9-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old son. My son is actually an author also. He is on book number 2. And he loves using children, characters that children can relate to and teaching them about the Bible. That's his way of writing. So I love it. And then my daughter just loves to design. She is a great artist and just loves creating things. And then I'm a Navy veteran. Joined the military when I was 17 years old, spent 4 years there. So I really attribute a lot of my mental toughness from the military. Okay, so first off, when I'm meeting with clients, when I'm sitting with them and we're getting to the roots of, the book project they want to do. First off, you need to find out why you're writing. Okay, I know it looks good. Everybody's publishing a book, man, maybe I need to do a book, but if you have no real sense behind why you're writing, you're gonna forever it's gonna be a dream. It's not really gonna move further. So these are just some of the ideas you may have. Maybe you want to become a best-selling author. Maybe you want to make a living out of writing, right? You like writing blogs, you like writing for other people, copywriting. It could be anything. You want to win a literary prize, international recognition, right? I know international poets. They love writing poetry. They just want to see their books in bookstores. That was me when I wrote my first book. I said, what do I need to do to get my book next to Michelle Obama, right? Big dreams, big dreams. I really want to just have a book out. Maybe that's on your bucket list. That's okay. I want to share my knowledge with the rest of the world. Maybe you're a technical writer, right? You're really good at figuring out, the cloud system and just different things, and you can explain it in layman terms. That's needed. And then if the book is there to support or monetize your main activity. Maybe you're a photographer, you want to write about photography, the book sales help pay for your photography equipment. You can kind of circle it all together. Now, a lot of people do ask me, is it better to self-publish, traditionally publish? It's up to you, your preference. I mean, neither way is wrong. It's just, you have to understand the process both ways, okay? You have to ask yourself, how long are you ready to wait before publication? Do you want to have your book out as soon as possible? I know I did, so I self-published. Can you wait 6 months or longer? Can you wait a year or two if needed? And then you just don't care, as long as the thing is getting started and eventually it's going to be done. Okay. And if you're looking at traditional publishing, then you're waiting a longer period. Just remember, they can push you out in greater areas, which is great. You also lose a little more control, but I'll get to that a little bit later. How much editorial control do you want to retain over your book? Okay. Some people don't change anything. Okay. Like if you have that Southern accent in your book, don't correct the ain't, it belongs there. It's supposed to be spelled just like that. That's okay. Let your editor know. Even though I self-edited, the first round of my book, I still hired a professional editor. I think we can be biased towards our writing at times. You have to wait, give it some time before you go back to your book and try to edit, okay? But I highly recommend using a professional editor, shop around, get some different quotes. You don't have to go with the first person you talk to, but definitely get another person to look over and give you some good critique on your book, okay? You can be the person that doesn't mind editorial changes as long as they're reasonable and they're discussed with me in advance. When I work with my clients, we kind of do a back and forth. Like I make sure hey, when I read this, this is what it sounds like to me, so that they can know that, okay, outside of my perception, this person is reading it differently, right? I kind of give them that market view, and they appreciate that. And then also, you may choose to write, I have written my book the way I want to see it published, all right? So editorial control, that can be negotiated. It just all depends on the type of book you're writing, especially if it's an autobiography. No one knows you better than you, of course, right? So you really want to communicate that with whatever editor you're using. And by the way, guys, we will have a Q&A at the end. So if you do have any questions, write it down for the end so that way, I'll be able to address it. How much do you want to be involved in the publishing process? Now, this is another really important question, okay? A lot of times we do hand off the publishing control to, a lot of indie publishers, maybe some friends that we know that are publishers, and we just kind of wait in the back and we wonder. If it's your first book, I highly recommend that you get more involved in the publishing process, just so that you can understand, right, what's going on. I have had clients that came to me and they have a contract and they have no idea what's going on in it, and nothing's being done, and they're not getting the royalties. That it's a mess. And I can only look over the contract with them and explain exactly what's going on, and I just encourage them to just go back to the publisher, have that conversation, and see what they could work out, okay, before I can work with them. Some of the options here, right? Do you want to have direct communication with the people who will work on your book? I highly recommend that. Do you want to just have say on the cover design, right? And the way that it's presented and marketed, and let them deal with the intricate stuff? Do you believe a publisher knows best, when it comes to editing and marketing the book. You don't want to question their skills whatsoever, right? You're paying them, they should know what they're doing. And then also, are you the person that honestly prefers for someone else to just really handle everything else, right? The managing the editors, the designers, the publicists. This is kind of the category I fall into, right? I help the client with everything when it comes to that. Just lining them up with the right people, the right editors, the right book designers. I am a book designer myself, so I do that, through my own business. But publicists, I kind of help line those people together for the client. Now, another question, how entrepreneurial minded are you? You could be just someone that, works a 9 to 5, but always wanted to write a book, right? But you have no idea, like, how am I going to sell this thing? Who's going to buy it? Is it even going to be on the bookshelves? So you got to stop and think, how business minded are you? Because you do have to have some business skills here, or be open to learning a little bit about how to run a business, because the book, that's your business. You are running it. No one's going to know about your book unless you talk about it. I tell all my authors, never stop talking about your book. As much as I wrote Psalm 91 a couple years ago, I'm still talking about that thing like I just launched it. And then, I end up making some sales, or I end up, people remember, right? What you're doing, you're planting seeds every time. So what if you didn't make the sales you wanted to make in the first month? Keep talking about it. Keep walking around your book. Sometimes I'll drop my book so that people just see that, what's that? Oh, that's my book. You find a way to get a conversation about your book, okay? And then also, I wouldn't be afraid of managing a project all on my own. Maybe you're the person that loves handling projects. Look at your book as a project, right? Get all the people that you need together like a team project. You need an editor. You need maybe some I was gonna say, like, those critique readers. You can have some people just read your book, give you some really live, honest feedback. Or would you say you're entrepreneurial, but generally you like to have other people on board? That goes along the lines of teamwork. And then, or you're the last one. Honestly, I'm not that entrepreneurial, right? You just know you want a book out. It's okay, but you can find the people that's going to help you make that happen. Awesome. Now, another cool question. Are you well known? Now, if you're famous, people already know you. They know the industry you're in. Of course, you writing a book, it kind of seems easier, right? You have a following. You have people that kind of lean in on your every word. So those people typically have more of a leg up when they publish books. So you can look through these and just see where you fall. Are you a national or international celebrity? Are you a leading voice in your niche, in your industry? Do you have a big following on social media? Do you have a big mailing list? Or I'm a relatively unknown person though my friends and family would buy my book. I do have clients that come and say, I don't really care about, being best-selling author. I just want a book out so that my family and friends can support me. And that's okay. That's kind of where self-publishing really, it's less, it's more affordable. And, it's more small scale, just depends on, who you work with and how you want it published. But yeah, that would be perfect. If you just want to publish it, you attend churches, you go to different events, and then you'll always have your books with you to sell. So it's okay. You can think small scale, you can think big scale. All right. But definitely, if you're already out there in the community doing many things and you want to write a book, leverage on that. Leverage. I have a lady right now. She's an apostle. Oh my goodness. She's been a teacher for years. She's been in the community doing things, and she's not business minded. So we published her book and she's like, well, I should just charge maybe $10. I said, no, we're not doing that. We're gonna, up the charge just a little bit. You do want to make a profit. And then remember, you're so well known in the community. They're going to support you. They are going to support you. Trust me. And the fact that this is her first book, oh my goodness, it's going to be very exciting. So just think about where you are and how you can leverage, on the type of person you are and how many people know you. Now, how are your marketing skills? That's a good question. This question right here gets a lot of businesses in trouble, right? We are solely dependent on whoever we hire as our marketing specialist, the publisher. They promise this, and this. We even get mad at the big five. Those are just the bigger publishers. But you still have to be your own marketer. Now, I'm not saying that, of course, they need to deliver whatever they promise you, but just remember, it is your book. So no one can market that book better than you. All right. If you just completely leave that to everybody else, you're going to forever be disappointed. Okay. So just think about where your marketing skills are. Do you have lots of experience in digital marketing? I feel like as much time as we spend scrolling, we should try to learn some marketing skills there, right? We're supporting everyone else, but we definitely need to take time and enhance our marketing skills and get ourselves out there on social media. Are you the person that's familiar with basic marketing tools and techniques, right? Or are you happy to learn? I know that's me. I am always happy to learn something new. There are so many systems, and then AI is coming out, so I better hurry up and get used to this AI. But there's so many things that can really help you boost, right, in your marketing. Or you just don't think authors should market their own books. If you think like that, that's the way you think, but you definitely want to tweak that way of thinking, okay? Should you self-publish? What is your budget for your book? You got, listen, I know I don't mean to get biblical on you guys, but anytime you're planning to do something, even in the Bible, it says you have to sit down first and count the cost of it, okay? And everything we do, there should be a plan established. So how much money are you willing to set aside for this? Don't get into it, and then you get to the publishing cost, you're like about to have a stroke, all right? So you want to go ahead and research that, talk to people, talk to publishers. That's something that I do. I help kind of get people quotes lined together, and I go ahead and present those options in front of them so that they can make an educated decision. All right. A confused mind cannot make a decision. So do you think self-publishing should be free? No, it's not. Is your budget under $500, $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, or are you just so open that whatever is needed to produce a professional book, right? But still, I always like the rule of three. Look at 3 editors, look at 3 publishers, look at 3 designers, so that you can compare and you can see what the market rate is. Okay. Now, this is everything that I just kind of explained. I do have a workbook on Amazon, okay, that I wanted to go ahead and post here. And this book, for anyone that is just, starting to write their own book, kind of want to get into it, but needs guidance, but at the same time may not have the money to hire a coach or work with anyone yet. This is a very good option. It's called Write to the Finish Line. Self-guiding workbook for writers to complete their book projects. And what I've done is I've just listed a series of exercises and questions. And then you even have places to take notes. So the goal, by the time you're done with this workbook, you pretty much have a good outline of the content in your book, as well as the game plan that you need to write your book. That was the thought behind pushing this out. So it is on Amazon, and Annette, I probably could put the link there, but it is hyperlinked on this. So I could post it in the Sestra group chat if you'd like me to.
Yeah, you could post it where we have on the lives, because it'll be available afterwards.
Awesome. So yes, guys, this book is extremely helpful. I use it in my workshops. And I've been hearing good feedback on it. So it's definitely been helping people just kind of hone in where they need to start in writing their book project. And then here's my website, my Instagram. So you feel free to visit, stay in touch with me. I'm also in the Sester group. So of course you can reach out to me in the group anytime. And that is it, guys.
Yeah, I thank you so much. But before you finish, I'm glad that you spoke about all the different considerations to prior. But I was wondering if you could just share something about like the process. Like, could you? I mean, of course, the book is probably a tell-all book, but for today, I think there are people who were expecting to probably get some kind of, a tip on like actually getting there. We talked about the background, the considerations, the things you can do, but what about actually getting in, getting that journal or whatever, like this, if you could at least share with us step one after you've considered those things.
Okay, awesome. Yes, so the process in doing it, some people, when I'm speaking to them and they're trying to just get that content together, if you're working on the content part, as Annette mentioned, journaling, right? That is one way. Also developing an outline. I help people when just putting together that content in what do you want chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 to say. If you're not big into journaling, it's okay. Or if you're always on the go, consider voice recording. That's a very big deal now. Okay, you can go ahead and, talk into our smartphones have that now. Go ahead and just talk. That is literally how I helped write someone's book. They just gave me the content in voice recording and I went behind and I just went ahead and typed it up. So step one, knowing like what you're going to write about and that content. I like to tell people start from the end first. Like, how do you want your book to end? And then that way they can kind of work themselves backwards and not get off track. So that's a big thing.
Okay, thank you. Stephanie, are there any questions in the chat?
I'm looking, here's some statements. Okay, Princess just asked, what's the best app or software to use to write books?
Good question, awesome. And I wanted to make sure I left time for that. Pro Writing Aid is one good one. There is also one, it does storyboards. And what that means is when you have plot and characters and things like that, you can kind of separate everything so that it's not running together. I'm going to find the exact name of it because I think they changed the name recently. And when I do, I'm going to post it in the Facebook group. But yes, Pro Writing Aid is one good one. Also the ones that allow you to do storyboards. And there's also AI, guys, that has been really booming. So if you want to take advantage of AI, I think that's awesome, especially the ChatGPT. Now kids are able to write things in school using AI. Any other questions?
I am, let me check in the chat, This is great. This is great stuff here. There was a statement by Carol. Let me see. She made more than one, but let me find her first one. I am reading so many self-published books, she said, written by acquaintances and friends, that's filled with a lot of grammatical errors, etc. That has me wondering, who the heck edited before publishing? Some still have boxes and boxes of books that they are trying to sell. Maybe you want to speak to that?
Yes. That makes me cringe. Yes. Now, probably going through the self-editing route, people do like to save costs. So sometimes they may just edit themselves, just do a self-edit and they go through the publishing. Because I'll tell you one thing, what the publisher is not going to do, they're not going to edit. Okay. They are going, whatever you give them, that is what they're going to publish. So it behooves you to really take your time in the editing phase. If you got to read that thing over and over, or hire a professional. All
Yeah.
right. Hire a professional. You can even go on Reedsy, REEDSY, Reedsy.com. They have several different links to editors, to publishers. You know, they can give you some really good insight on how to find a good editor. Okay. Yes, the self-publishing world can be a little sticky. You really have to be careful, especially with indie publishers, you know, that promise the world. You want to be very careful and read whatever contract. Don't sign anything unless you understand. If you have an attorney that's a good friend, or maybe you're working with a coach, but have somebody else also take a look at the contract, because what ends up happening is when it gets down to the money part, right? You're thinking I'm supposed to have X amount of money every time someone purchased my book. That's not the case. So that part, it's not just a black and white. You really have to just take your time before you just jump into working with someone. Self-publishing is not bad. It's just knowing where to go. One of the companies that I use is called BookBaby. I also help my clients go through Ingram Spark, Amazon, but I do research on everyone so that they understand what's going to happen once they publish through these different avenues.
Okay. Okay. So Carol says, Princess also said, you know, that she sees even well-known publishers, not just self-publishers, having, you know, errors in their books. And that also makes me cringe. Like when you get to the point where you're publishing something, I would think it went past a lot of different eyes. So I can't even imagine how it gets that far. Carol says she wrote about 500 pages of her book during COVID and is rereading and condensing. She will consider reaching out to you.
Okay, no problem. No problem.
And Princess asked, what is GBT?
You know what? I am still researching on that. I am researching on the ChatGPT, because what it is, it has to do with AI. It's like a smart AI assistant, kind of like an Alexa. Think about it like that. So you should be able to give it information, and it follows instructions, and then it prompts with a detailed response of whatever, you know, whatever information you're giving it. I think of it like an AI Alexa.
All right. Okay, so I'm gonna, Annette, you can go ahead and.
Yeah, so, you know, just want to thank you so much, Jacinda, for this little, you know, a half an hour can't really get so much into it. So maybe we will follow up with a part 2, but thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for sharing. You know, I was just ready to jump into my book, you know, in my head, not even taking the consideration of some of the back end things, but it's very important that you count those costs, like you said. And I would just think, in my experience with writing, you know, just take notes, just put whatever's in your head, you know, sit down and just free write. And I think, you know, and another thing I was wondering, like, you know, can you start off with a short story and then just build out from there? You know what I mean? Start with an essay and then build it out to a short story, you know? So, I mean, I could imagine that there are several different approaches to writing. And so maybe the next time we can get into that more.
I think we need to do a part 2, and also we need to discuss internally about making this 1 hour, because we're always cutting it short. And, you know, if the sestras want more information, then let's give them an hour, right? So we'll work on that, because this is something that's very important, as we're all discussing. There's a lot of issues out there, and that's what we're about here with Sestra Now, is to, you know, to help all of you, and so that you don't have to know everything, right? Yes. We close the gap, we shorten the learning curve, and so maybe we need to do this for 1 hour.
One of the biggest things, Stephanie, I would love to, you know, whenever that time comes again, but like copywriting, that's definitely something that kind of just takes that whole hour. But yes, that's a problem that a lot of authors have.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions still in the chat, so I think we're gonna have to do a part 2, everyone. So yay! We'll announce. But
also, Jacinda, if you would take the time to go on the chat, and maybe we could answer some questions offline as well.
Awesome. Okay.
Thank you so much. Thank you for all of you who joined us, and you know, looking forward to seeing you again next week. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Good night, guys.
Good night. Thank you, Jacinda.
You're welcome.
Thank
Blessings.
you,
Bye-bye.
everyone, for joining us.